Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is a Black Manga Critic here. We are back. Usually I do not do. I don't think I've ever done this many One Piece discussion streams. In the in the time that I've from starting this channel to now, like this is like these three videos have been the most that I've done. Right, mainly because like One Piece is not like I think it's obvious, right? Like One Piece is not my favorite manga. Does not mean I don't love One Piece. It just means it's not my favorite manga. So I never really had like One Piece discussion streams or anything like that. The community pretty much has that down on lock, for the most part in terms of how they do it. Brago streams are usually lit, so it's not something that I was like, whoa, let me definitely do this. I had no intentions of becoming a One Piece YouTuber or anything like that necessarily. But I like to talk about One Piece, every now and then. But more recently, I had to say my piece. If I had like opinions about the chapters, if I make a review and I'm like, these chapters, I don't know, something smells a little bit, then that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that works. All right. I think the first thing I want to just talk about, I want to talk about a couple of things. And I think what I wanted to do was to make this stream about like the new worlds. Just kind of critiquing some things, thinking about instances within like the new world like arcs that could have been not that could have been better, because I think things can always be better. Right, but I guess what I'm sort of trying to say is like things that seem particularly either hollow or lackluster, right, when compared to especially the writing. Right, I don't think the arts, no, we're gonna talk about the art a little bit, because there's some things that have shifted, obviously, that are really ridiculous. And we got to talk about that. We have to talk about that because I think that's a very important conversation, right? Namely, like what's going on with Nami and Robin's breasts and all that nonsense and everything else. All the characters having bigger breasts, like the way that women are drawn, that they're portrayed, like a lot of nonsense. So we're definitely going to talk about that. But I think where I want to start is just talking about like just kind of like the reviewing process, the critiquing process, things like that. And I want to try and be as open-minded as possible, right? I want to try to be as open-minded as possible. I want to make sure that I'm not misconstrued, because I keep getting people commenting and it's almost like they're not listening to what I'm saying in the videos. It's almost like they'll willfully ignore particular points that I've made, right? And how I've made those points, and they'll go on their own sort of little tirade, or they're trying to make their own points that are sort of vaguely related to something that I mentioned, right? It might not have been an argument or anything like that, but stuff like that like bothers me. But I think like I'm basically done like responding to stuff like that. Like it just takes a lot of energy, not to come up with the arguments or anything like that, but just to like sit at my computer, think about how to respond to the comment, right? Because I want to thoughtfully respond to people. Like I'm not gonna like come out of nowhere and present like nonsense. You know what I mean? It's just like the writing quality. Yo, professor told me what's good. Just like the writing quality, and that's important, y'all. It's important. It's not at, like, I think like if you're going to actually like critique, review the chapter, and do all those things, it's not enough to just be like, whoa, these moments were hype. This was hype. This was really cool. That was amazing. It's like, what's going on here? Like, how do we hold, especially manga, right? Like serialized manga, that's important. That's a big difference, right? As opposed to like writers who will like put out a book, like, there's a different sense of like accountability when it comes to like authors and novelists, short story writers, stuff like that, poets, even, whatever. With manga, it's like week by week or month by month or bi-weekly. They put out content, and I think they all understand that their content is essentially like, right, being read and being consumed and stuff like that, but also being judged, You know, I think they know that, especially Weekly Shonen Jump. If you're a Weekly Shonen Jump manga and you don't understand that your content is being judged, that your story is being judged, that your chapters are being judged, I don't know why you at Weekly Shonen Jump. I don't know why you try to get your manga into Weekly Shonen. I'm a little confused. I don't really understand that. So that's just kind of how I feel about that. But I want to talk about how we look at these chapters, because I think there are a lot of people. Sombra, you hopping into the stream? We can have this conversation. You come through. Anybody want to come through? Please do. Gabby, what is up? What is up? You know, so like when I review or critique a chapter and stuff like that, I'm very thoughtful, right? Even if it might be right a initial, right, I'm gonna have the initial reaction, and then I'll sit, I'll think about it, I'll talk about it, chop it up. But you have to think about a ranking system, right? And I think a lot of people will have a ranking system that on the surface is from 1 to 10, right? The ranking system would be from 1 to 10. And then what they'll do is they'll never go below 7. Sometimes they'll never go, they'll. All right, that's cool. Go ahead. No, I saw Dustin was streaming. That's cool, man. Don't worry about it. But it's like, if you have a ranking system that's from 1 to 10, and you're reading something that has 800 plus chapters, I mean, I'm sorry, but there are going to be quite a few chapters that aren't going to be up to par. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's not that it's impossible for manga to consistently have 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10 chapters. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think for One Piece, if we are honest about how we've read the chapters, how we read the manga, we looked at the chapters, you know what I mean? It's like, some people have a ranking system, but it's not really 1 to 10. It's really 7 to 10, right? They're like you would never hear them say, "Oh, this chapter was a 4. This chapter was a 3. This chapter was a 5. This chapter was a 6." I'm like, I'm pretty sure One Piece has had, right, and especially in terms of the writing, right? I think generally the art is very good, and but even then, I think you can sort of maybe even have a ranking system with that. But that's neither here nor there, because I don't think a lot of people, when they critique One Piece, even talk about the art, right? I don't even think that's a thing. One thing I tried to do earlier on when I started reviewing The Promised Neverland was talk about the art, because I thought the art was essential to the manga, to the storytelling process. So I would always make sure whenever I thought about the chapter, even before I started using like sort of a ranking system or whatever, I'd always shout out Pasuka, because Pasuka's art was like on point and it was essential to how the story was being told. Same thing with Oda, right? With One Piece, the way the story is being told, the panel placement, facial expressions, fight scenes, conversations, blah, blah, blah. If a chapter is weak, right? If you're sort of saying, oh, well, this chapter, some people will say, not every chapter is a 10, not every chapter is a 9, not every chapter is an 8.5. So what they do is they'll go, any chapter that's not those will be a 7 or 7.5. I'm like, really? To me, a 7.5 or a 7, that's like, it was good. It was good, but it wasn't great, right? Great is like 8.5. 9 to 10 is like, whoa, that was awesome. Maybe you had one tiny little gripe about the chapter, but like, it's still a 9 to a 10. You know what I mean? Like, this is really ridiculous. Like, it's a basic thing. Again, this is a basic sort of concept. If you have a ranking system, use the full extent of that ranking system. Don't create a ranking system on the surface as a 1 to 10, but really you going from 7 to 10. Nah. You know? And that's a little ridiculous. You know, and people and again, people have come to me talking about, man, you know what? You're not a fan of One Piece. You a hater, you a hipster. I don't even know if they know what a hipster is. I don't even know if they know what you know. Like, I mean, they probably do know what a hater is, but I don't hate on One Piece. I'm just honest about how I feel about One Piece and how I critically think about One Piece. That's what that is. All right. I'm not gonna try to spend too much time on this because it's like I think it's really straightforward. It's like you cannot consistently rank One Piece chapters from a 7 to 10. That's not a real ranking system. At least not one that makes too much sense. You know what I mean? Especially if you're considering 7 to be good, right? If you're starting from good to excellent, right? There's got to be some, right? There's got to be some chapters, chapters, okay? Some 3s, some 4s. The chapter that I read, chapter 893, it was that was a solid 4. I think I gave it a little bit higher, but 893 was a solid 4 for me. This week's chapter, maybe a 5. That's how I feel about it. Maybe a 5, maybe a 5. And I think that's being generous because I think I would honestly give it a 4.5. And again, the stuff that we get, right? We're gonna get into critiquing that chapter. I really wanna pull up the chapter because I really want to talk about chapter 894. And one thing that really got on my nerves was I was listening to Brago's stream. Shouts out to Brago for streaming, for doing all that stuff. Like he's one of the dudes that like, you know, I wouldn't be where I am right now in terms of like people finding my content, without him, without Dustin, you know, without a lot of people. Some of y'all are watching right now, so shouts out to y'all. But Dustin was like, he was saying some of the same stuff that I was saying. And the thing that really gets to me is some of these people were acting like Dustin was talking in alien language or something. Some of them thought that he was talking in Tolkien Elvish, or you know, or an Elven language or whatever. That's what they thought, and they don't know nothing about Lord of the Rings, right? Like that. But Dustin was just speaking straight sense. We got same old, in a lot of ways in chapter 894. Right? The fight has not been anything particularly interesting. And I gotta pull up the chapter. So let's pull up the chapter, y'all. All right. Let me go to the Viz website because I'm gonna use a Viz just to make sure people aren't like, oh, you're using Manga stream. Use a Manga stream. Gotta use official translation, which is true. But I mean, I'm gonna make sure. I'm signing in right now. We got to talk about this chapter. This chapter, man. I mean, we gotta go into the chapter because some people like, yo, look at all this hype stuff. And again, if you think something is hype, not what I'm debating. You can definitely feel like something was hype. My issue is when compared with some of the other things in terms of reveals, clues, things like that we've gotten from Oda as a writer in this manga that is One Piece, far and away much better. Oda is extremely capable of giving us greatness. This is why we love Oda. This is why we love One Piece. This is why we continue to read One Piece. Right? I'm not dropping the series. I'm just taking a break because I need a break. I need a break. I might pick the series up after like the Whole Cake Island ends. And then I'll just, you know, have like a live reaction and read through it and give you my thoughts then. But right now, I can't. Especially after 894, I'm just like, man, Oda just phoning some of this stuff in. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's not phoning it in. But the content sort of like bleeds phoning. You know, it sort of like reeks of phoning in. So all right, let me go to Shonen Jump, then go to the magazine. All right. Find the chapter. One Piece is on page 30. All right, we pulling it up, man. We pulling it up. All right, we gotta do this, cause come on, man. And you know, right? Oh, Oda's genius. Oh, come on, man. Right? Like some of us, some you know, some people really think we don't know nothing. They looking like, right? They looking at us like you just hating. You don't love One Piece. You're not a real fan. I don't know. But let's look at the chapter, y'all. Let's look at the chapter again, right? I said Oda's giving us some dog treats. I used that analogy because Oda has not consistently given us dog treats in the entirety of One Piece. Now, I never said that. Right? I never said that. And I was specifically talking about the more recent chapters within Whole Cake Island. I said that numerous times, but every time somebody comments, they act like I'm talking about the entirety of One Piece. Like they don't listen. This is the thing that gets to me. People do not listen, right? They're not opening their ears. My mom used to tell me like, whenever I wouldn't listen, she'd be like, get that cream cheese out your ear. It was a weird like idiom. It was a weird like, phrase, but I don't know why it hit me because it was like weird. It was like, it worked. It had like just like a real like to the pointness to it. But you know what I mean? And you know why I use the dog. I might have to chill with the dog treats analogy though. I might have to chill with it. I might have to. I don't know. I gotta think about it. You know. Because I think that's what's like setting people off, and then like they don't listen and they hear dog treats and then they're like, nah. It's not even that I hate when people defend it. It's that when people come to me and act like I don't know what I'm talking about, and then when they approach the stuff that I've been saying, their rebuttals almost completely ignore the stuff that I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Right? Like when people do that, right? That's what I'm talking about. Right? Again, if you like particular things, that's fine. But also, right? And they come to you. If you don't like a chapter, I might just be like, yo, this chapter, I didn't like the chapter. You know? And sometimes I won't necessarily say, hey, if you like this chapter, like you crazy or you wild or nothing like that. They will come to you. Especially if you have a channel, they will come to you. Some of these people will find you, especially if you talk about a series that is as popular as One Piece. They will find you. They will find you. All right. So that's right. Exactly. It's a majority kind of thing, right? And I remember in one of Brago's streams, some guy, I can't remember who it was, but he was talking to Dustin, and he was like, Dustin, like you sounded kind of ridiculous because like the majority of the people who who are reading One Piece and people who are making comments are saying that this chapter was fire. So it almost implying that Dustin's opinion is not valid because all these other people, feel a certain way about the chapter. It's like, but that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing. Like, no, so no, like I don't agree. I don't think I would ever agree with that. Unless it was something that was clearly obvious, right? That was like, hey, like, murdering babies is wrong, right? I'm pretty sure if you disagree with that, something's off, right? So that like, right, but we're not in that realm. We're just in the realm of like, hey, like Dustin had a particular opinion. He spoke his mind about it. He laid down his thoughts, right? Analyze the chapter, right? Dustin even has a breakdown of the chapter. So people like, they will like willfully ignore that stuff. and they'll just be like, you a hater. And that's what I'm talking about, right? Like generally, like people like that, they'll come to you, they'll come to your channel, they'll put it down in a comment, they'll ignore 3/4 of the stuff that you're saying. They'll focus on one, maybe a sentence fragment, right? They may focus on like one word or a verb or a subject of that sentence, and they'll ignore like the predicate. They'll ignore the rest of the sentence, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But let's get to the chapter because I really want to go through the chapter. And I'm just gonna like, I'm just gonna be like, and I think like I might avoid the dog treat thing because I do think like, yeah, it's a little it might be like, just thinking about it, it might be a little condescending. But I thought, like initially I thought like, hey, that would be the best way to describe it because it's like, right, it's not saying that people are dogs. But I guess like, people can sort of say like, hey, like you calling us dogs. So I think maybe I'll veer away from that and I'll use like a different analogy. I guess like a different analogy would sort of be, instead of like dog treats, right? It'd be like people, let's say like, people love like a certain type of like, I don't know, candy or something, or food or whatever. I don't know. No, that's not going to be as strong. Maybe like, let's just use like sugar, right? Like people adore sugar. But people have come out of the woodwork saying that like, yo, sugar is not, right? Like processed sugar, right? People love processed sugar, but people have come out of the woodwork and say like, yo, processed sugar is not good for you. Like it's not. Right? And the majority is like, yo, but we love sugar. Sugar is amazing. Sugar is hype. But it's like the people here that are saying like, yo, it has been proven. We have stated facts. We've put down all this research saying that like, yo, sugar is not good for you, man. You know what I mean? But sugar isn't like, I have to do another video to describe that. So I don't know, maybe I will keep the dog treats then because it makes the most sense, right? Because it's like, it's a conditioning thing. With dog treats, it's like, if you, right, you give your pets treats because you want them either to follow instructions or to do particular things or to continue being good or to reward them for, whatever, right? In a similar way, writers do this. This is not something, right? Like, and I think that some people, they ignore this. They'll willfully ignore the fact that writers do this. Writers do that all the time. They put things in their stories that might not necessarily be particularly important, but they know that readers will cling to it, right? Like I'm telling you, man, and like it's not the perfect analogy, but it's the best analogy that I have right now. I have to like think about it. Like when you disregard others' opinions or concerns, that's when it gets to me. That's when I'm like, come on, man. Like that's what gets to me because I like having conversations. Anybody that responds on my channel, anybody that comments on my channel, I will have no problem having a one-on-one Hangouts call with them. We can set it up. I have no problem doing that. You know what I mean? That's me. I've done that. Right, like this past week, like this week, I had a conversation with somebody who was on Twitter. It was a good combo. We exchanged manga preferences and stuff like that. He suggested a manga to me. It was cool. We talked about One Piece. We talked about the chapter. We talked about 893. No, yeah, we talked about 893. Right, and it was a good combo. Right. So yeah, but let's get into the chapter. Let's get into the chapter. All right, let's get into it. So first page. Okay, so Luffy's, he got beat up. Katakuri's like, why do you look so hideously miserable? Okay, that's just like basic stuff. I'm not concerned. Luffy is hurt. Okay, moving on, right? Because it's a fight. People get hurt in fights. This is nothing new. I'm not particularly interested in this wound because Luffy will be all right. He's the main character. He's the protagonist. We know he'll be okay. He will be fine. Luffy's been through a ton. Luffy has been impaled by a magma fruit user named Akainu. Luffy will be fine. So we know this. We already know. We have all this information. So this is nothing big. Like, at least to me, right? It's nothing particularly important. It's like, all right, he's hurt. He's been hurt in battles before. He's gotten through it. He'll probably get through it again. So we move on, right? And then we got this panel where everybody's laughing. Flambe is laughing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, they're laughing. Luffy's hurt. And then Katakuri says, your foot slipped? Amateur. Okay. That's not particularly interesting. Right? It's like, I guess like he thinks his foot slipped and like he's like, hey, what's going on? Well, no, this is is this 893? Let me make sure I'm on. No, let me make sure I'm at 894. I don't want to critique that chapter. I've already looked at that chapter. So I gotta go to Manga Stream. Sorry, y'all. That's my bad. That's my fault. Well, let me go to Manga Stream for One Piece 894. I'm on 893. But I mean, like, right? You kind of get what I'm trying to do here, right? I looked at that page. I was like, eh. Right? The cover page was more interesting than this chapter. Leo's on the cover page. The Tontadas are, going to be a bodyguard for King Dold, right? For the Reverie. So that's interesting. I'm not necessarily sure what's going to come about that or anything like that, but we do understand that, right? King Riku, right, is going to go to the Reverie. So we already knew that. So this is nothing like particularly surprising. So we move on to the next page. And then we get some Rayleigh. We get some Rayleigh. Rayleigh or Rayleigh. So I don't know. Let's go into it. Right? And again, I'm not trying to say like people are trash because they like this chapter. What I'm saying is people are acting as if these bits of information that we've been given are tantamount to like past info drops that we've gotten in other arcs, even this arc, right? Like pre-time skip arcs, right? Like, no. Like, look at his first page, all right? Look at his first page. If you don't manage to dodge 100 times, no food. I'm so hungry, Rayleigh. Concentrate. Will your enemy stop attacking just because you are hungry? Attacks have a will to them. An aura. I can smell something delicious. It's my dinner. Don't pay attention to it. There? No, there. And it's a little comedy, right? Rayleigh's mad. So, like, the comedy's kind of funny, right? So, again, it's not like, that's like, it's like the comedy's not there and I'm ignoring the comedy. What I'm saying is that it's not really consequential to the story necessarily, right? This page, waste of time because we already assume that this is stuff that's happened during Luffy's training during the past 2 years. We know this. We've seen it in previous chapters. We've seen Luffy remember that Rayleigh told him about attacks having a will to them. So we move on, right? Because it's not particularly important. We already know this stuff as readers. This is what we kind of call, this is like a dog treat kind of thing, right? It's like if I give you some stuff, if I show you, right? If I give you this art, if I show you these pictures, if I give you this aesthetic, right, of Rayleigh and Luffy doing stuff, then I maintain your interest for quite a few pages, right? We don't need this many pages, right? Because when we go through these pages, and we're going to go through these pages, we don't get much here. We don't get much, okay? So Rayleigh's using a hockey, sort of baseball bat kind of thing or a stick or whatever, a log kind of stick. And it's like, okay, we already knew where Rayleigh could use hockey. We figured he could use armament hockey because he was fighting Kizaru with a sword, and Kizaru is a Logia. And the only ways that you can touch Logia, or if they allow you to, or if they're incapable of using their devil fruit, or if you use armament hockey and your armament hockey is like strong enough. We already know this, right? We already know this. Right, the One Piece community already understands this. So this is like a waste of time. Like, this is kind of a waste of time in terms of writing, in terms of information. This is the stuff that I'm talking about, man. This is why I say dog treat, because it's like, right? And I want to figure out a better analogy because I understand that I think it is condescending. But again, I think that like it's important to use that analogy for now because one, I'm not gonna like think of another one on the fly. And because dog treats are something, and not dog treats, but like I don't know, maybe just like treats or like sort of like if you're in school and you give like kids like a point system, like an incentive, right? Like these are incentives. These are like cheap incentives. That's what I think that might be a better thing. They're cheap incentives. So let's go with that. All right. So if I offended anybody with a dog treat analogy, I'm sorry about that. Let's go with like cheap incentives. Okay, so that's what's going on here, like rewards or whatever. Not even rewards, but just incentives, right? So Rayleigh, that hurt. Wait, I sense rage. That's part of hockey too. Now dodge this. I sense your rage. Ow. Okay. I sense rage. I mean, I don't know how interesting that is. I don't know where a conversation like that would go that would develop into something incredible. I don't know. I mean, it's not that it's not like, right? Because to me, again, it's not particularly interesting, but critically, does that make hockey particularly impressive, or does it add something? Does it really add something to hockey that's like, whoa, that makes like hockey's an ability that is extremely, extremely complex? I don't know. I'm not sure. All right, so the animals are trying to feed him. All right, they're trying to give him food. Okay, we already know the animals befriended him at some point. Moving on, right? Just incentives, like little stuff like that. Like it's cool. We see it. It's like you can kind of giggle about it or whatever. That's fine. I'm not critiquing. I'm not saying people can't giggle at animals trying to give Luffy food or be like feel a certain way or whatever. I'm just saying this is not information that's like particularly useful. So we move on, right? This is something like I could just blaze through these pages. I don't need your food. Rayleigh said no food. Okay, we know that. Moving on. Despite it being part of observation hockey, it seems you're quite adept at sensing the emotions of living things, although I doubt you're even aware. The point is, though, that if you can do that, you definitely can perceive the movements of your opponent. Among the strong people of this world, there are those that are said to be able to see slightly into the future. Future? What do you do if you run into someone like that? Just 2 years of training isn't enough for you to reach that level. An opponent like that will be tough. I guess it depends on what kind of people those guys turn out to be like. The enemy's personality? That's what you're wondering about? I never even thought about that. I mean, aren't you curious? Ha ha ha, you're a strange one. There'll be a time when you won't be able to run away, I'm just like, see, this is the type of stuff, right? It's like vague stuff that, and again, people will consistently say, and they'll almost always say this about One Piece in particular. That's the thing, right? That's like a sign that when you're defending something that shouldn't necessarily really be defended, right? That vague, right? The vague sort of explanation of abilities, of stuff like that. It's like at this point in the story, like, yo, Oda, you got to be better about explaining some of this stuff. Okay, Luffy can sense emotions. We kind of, okay, that's great. Can you have conversations about what that has to do with certain abilities and stuff like that? Sure, maybe. But I don't understand how that changes or how or why that's even particularly important. Because we already know that Luffy's empathetic. We already know that, right? We've seen instances of that. It's not like we need to be told. Like, why do we need to be told this? We know, right? We already sort of know this, and right? Why is it important? Like, okay, it's part of observation hockey. So, Oda, give me something. When it comes to observation hockey, give me something that is concrete, that has to do with what happens when fighters clash. What happens in the battle? I want to know about that stuff. I'm not particularly interested in Luffy's personality right now. We generally know what we're gonna know about Luffy's personality, right? Like we do. if anybody thinks that like we're gonna get like some incredible shift of character from Luffy, we know we're not gonna get that. It's kind of been said. I'm pretty sure Oda himself was like, "Yo, Luffy ain't gonna change much." Right? So where is that? Right? When you get descriptions, even in Dragon Ball, man, even in Dragon Ball Z, like sometimes you're like right, sometimes you get descriptions of an ability and how it's and how that particular part of that ability is related to battle. Haki is a battle is generally right in One Piece. Right now, and particularly in this part of One Piece, a battle technique. Oftentimes, when we see an observation haki, usually it's either related to, right when it's called observation haki, it's related to battle, or or Odas use it particularly well to sort of say like, hey, like people sense particular things, or they sense emotions or intent or whatever. That's fine, but we kind of already knew that because we've seen particular things. We don't necessarily need this explanation. I want to know more about observation haki in terms of like the minutia of it, in terms of like right in relation to battle. That's what I want to know, right? So it's like, if the point is though, if you can do that, if you can sense the emotions of living things, you can definitely perceive the movements of your opponent. Okay, let's move on. We already kind of have an idea of how observation haki works generally, but if you're going to explain anything about observation haki, at this point, Oda, we need more than this. This is not like, what does this have to do with much? I don't know. I want to talk with people about it. That's the thing. I really want to talk with people about it. I mean, convince me that what's going on, what's being discussed here, is extremely important to moving to the plot, to moving the story forward, to making haki a particularly complex and interesting ability. Even though right now it's kind of meh. Right? I'm just saying meh because I'm not trying to like be like, oh, this is trash or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's meh. It's not interesting. Right? And then here, when Luffy's like, I guess it depends on what kind of people those guys turn out to be like. Which is like, yeah, I mean, like, we understand like when Luffy gets in a battle with particular individuals, or he confronts particular people, sometimes he'll fight them, sometimes he won't. Right? Sometimes he'll understand when he doesn't need to fight a battle, sometimes he'll understand when he does need to fight a battle. Right? Like, he gets people generally, right? We already understand that, right? A lot of us, when we saw Robin Robin try to join the crew, we were like, Robin, why are you trying to join the crew? But Luffy was like, like he kind of got a vibe like after a certain point, right? Even when he tried to save her, he could have just left her there, right? But Luffy's great at telling that people aren't. When people aren't like just straight evil or have like, generally like, want to kill him or anything like that. And even then, I don't think he would let somebody die necessarily. I don't know. But it's like, right when Robin's on the ship, she's making, she's kind of making jokes. She's trying to do certain things. Luffy is like, she's cool. Right? Because he can kind of sense that Robin, like under all of that, like sort of bravado and exterior and everything like that, Robin's genuinely like a good person. Right, we've seen this time and time again with people, right? Luffy, when he's staring at Jinbei, he's just like, yo, let Jinbei out. Because Jinbei could, right? Because Luffy could immediately tell, almost immediately tell that Jinbei is a really good person, right? One, because he knew Ace and he was friends with Ace. And because when Jinbei was talking to Luffy was like, all right, we could trust this guy. Like, we've gotten this time and time again. We already understand this. So this is kind of, I'm not particularly interested in this, because we already know that Luffy cares generally. He cares about the enemy's personality. Like he tries to get to know people. He doesn't necessarily want to fight everybody. Luffy's a fun-loving guy. Luffy's good with people. We already know that. So this is kind of like, So I don't know. I mean, this is stuff that's like, So we just move on, right? We just move on to the next part. This is like, we're on page, how many pages was that? Right? That was like 4, 5, 6. That was like 3 pages that weren't really necessary. They didn't tell us much in terms of like, telling us more about observation haki or anything interesting. Like, I don't know why we necessarily needed that flashback. If you're going to get a flashback, I don't need more than that. You know, people would be like, "Oh, things don't need to be explained." That's like giving writers. That's like giving a writer, especially like a Battle Shonen manga, an excuse not to make sure that they're explaining things properly. You know what I mean? I don't give manga excuses like that. If I see something and I'm like, that's vague, I don't understand. Right? It makes it so that what it does is it allows people to have these like grandiose conversations that don't necessarily go anywhere. And that's not to say that that's not fine, but it's like the reason why those conversations happen is because this stuff is vague. Right? When you go into Hunter x Hunter, people be like, yo, like I know exactly how this ability works, right? People, you could legitimately have two characters and as a reader, construct a battle between those two characters, especially if those two characters, right, have had battles with their Nen abilities. You can figure out how battles between certain characters will work. You can have legitimate conversations and saying like, hey, this might not work because of the qualities of Nen, of how Nen works, of how their particular Nen abilities work, right, and stuff like that. So like this is what I'm talking about. This stuff is vague, man. So I don't particularly like I don't give manga excuses. I don't give stories excuses. I don't give like writing like excuses. I don't just allow a manga to be like, oh, I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there. Here you go, guys. Have at it. Nope, that's not me. Sorry about that. Ooh, that looks like it hurt. Bring it. I'll beat everything I know into you. All right, and then Luffy's just thinking. He's just sensing Katakuri. Then he dodges the punches. Okay. I mean, and then we get more panels. Luffy's moving. Luffy gets hit in the face. Then he tries to block. Then he tries to block another one. He's just, he's blocking. That's another page. Then another page, right? And then Katakuri says grilled mochi. So it's like a hot punch, right? It's like a red hawk, basically, I guess, if you wanted to call it that. Right? Kind of like a red hawk. And then people would be like, and then people will come here and be like, yo, but the symbolism though, red hawk, grilled mochi. I'm like, yeah, I see that, man. That's not hard to tell. It's not hard to figure that out. Hot punch. Same thing. Like, okay, I got it. You don't have to explain some of this stuff to me. That's the thing I dislike. People like be like, oh, but you didn't see this thing. You didn't see that thing. Like sometimes people will see things, but don't feel like it's necessary to point it out. Because me, I don't assume that people won't get that. Right? I don't assume that. I assume that that most people that are reading One Piece, it's not everybody that's reading One Piece, right? Over a certain age, will get that. Will get this stuff. So I just move on. It's not something that I necessarily need to talk about, right? At least that's what I do. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I assume that people are smart, generally. That's my first assumption, because I know, because I'm a teacher, because I teach kids. I'm like, come on, kids are smart. When they grow up, they generally, learn more things, and they learn about metaphor, and they learn about illusion and all those literary elements. So I just move on for that. Then there's, right, he gets hit. Luffy gets blasted through. Then Katakuri sort of regens his mochi arm. Luffy got hit. Then he comes back out. He's trying to hit Katakuri. Looks like Katakuri gets hit. Right, and then all that is like, now we're on page like 11, right? That was like maybe what, like five pages or something like that? 4 pages, right? That was like three or 4 pages. 4 pages. So it's just like stuff like that. It's like we didn't get much there. People will like they will pull out nothing out of something. No. We know it's a story for kids, right? And this is the thing that people will try to tell, will try to come to me. They'll be like, it's a story for kids. But Oda knows that adults read this story. It's a story for kids, but Oda's drawing large breasts. Oda's making all these jokes. Oda's writing these intricate plot points, and making these and doing and including like intricate governmental rules and things of that nature. I'm pretty sure Oda. I don't think Oda's writing this for kids, man. I think Oda thinks he might be writing it for kids, but I don't think he's writing it for kids. And I think like it's kind of like when people are like, yo, comic books are for kids. If you've ever read Saga, Saga is a comic that Image Comics puts out. Saga is not for kids. Saga is not for kids, right? Or even something like what's another one? Assassination Classroom. That story ain't for kids, man. And when I say kids, I'm talking about like 7-year-olds. Assassination Classroom is not for 7-year-olds. Food Wars is not for 7-year-olds. My Hero Academia even is not really for 7-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like they would fly over the kids' heads. Why are you writing a story and you're making sure that you're writing for adults, and then you purposefully write a thing that is basically for adults, and you want the jokes to fly over the kids' heads? That's not writing for kids. That's not writing for kids. Like this One Piece is not for kids. I'm sorry. And if we say kids, like I guess maybe you mean like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, maybe. Yeah, maybe I could say that. But even then, you presume that kids are all right. That right. It's not that you presume that kids aren't smart, but I think that like at least if you say 11 or 12, then I could say, hey, that Oda assumes that kids are smart, that they can understand particular things. Then that's fine. But kids, when you say kids, you're talking about like ages, 3 to like 9 or something like that. But I think we know that like kids that are like even like 10 years old, 9 years old, they're also reading One Piece. Their parents allow them to go on the internet. They find these things. They start reading. Kids are smart. But it's like appealing to all ages. This is not appealing to all ages. I'm sorry. If you were appealing to all ages, you would make sure like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is a Marvel comic that appeals to all ages. That's something that is clearly written for all ages. Like where the art is not suggestive, it's not sexual. The main character, Moon Girl, is like a 9 or 8-year-old kid or something like that, or 11-year-old kid or something like that. She's just a small black girl. She's not sexy in any way. She's not like suggestive in any way. She's just a girl that's really, really intelligent. And she just happens to be paired with a dinosaur that has powers. That's from another comic written by Jack Kirby in the past, like in the 80s or late 70s or something like that. So it's like, come on, man. Oda might think he's trying to appeal to all ages, but like he's not doing a great job. Right? So like when people say like One Piece should have like a tag on it that should be like ages like 13 or 12 and up, honestly. That's how I feel about that. So I don't know. Yeah, it's like, how are you going to write a manga for kids that lasts 30 years, yo? You know that your fan base is growing with you. So you have to shift. You have to change things a bit. All right, so yo, Shugama, what's up? Ashwin, what's up? Young Kenya, what's good? All right, so Dustin, what's good? You know what I mean? So yo, it's funny because Sombra did the DJ Khaled thing. He was like, another one. This is the last one. I'm not trying to do too many, right? Because I'm not a One Piece YouTuber like that, nor have I like claimed to be one. So I'm trying to do that. And it's not to say, right, I dislike Oda. I'm just saying it's like, do not act like you're writing a series for kids, right? Right. And when people hear kids in their mind, they think, oh, my kid's 9. They can read the story because it's for kids. This is what we're talking about. So it's like accountability in that sense, I think, is important. But let's get through One Piece chapter 894. Okay, we gotta like get through these pages because I want to talk about like some of this like stuff, especially the New World stuff, and like really taking Oda to task on some of this stuff. All right, so 10:10 p.m. Okay, we know the clock's moving. Capone is like, we got the cake with us here. They can't just do whatever they want to us. Okay, we know that already. We understand. We're smart. We read One Piece. We know. Don't have to explain that to us. We'll eventually make it there to Liqueur Island. Ha ha ha. We even had pretty smooth sailing for the most part. It's because we managed to fix the oars in time. Thanks, boys. Thank you, Captain. All right, don't care. Unnecessary information. Don't care. Unnecessary information. When he's at that size, Prometheus's movements are pretty dulled. Okay, that's interesting to know, I guess, like in terms of like, Big Mom being able to move, right, at a certain pace. So so that tells us, right, that like she can't necessarily keep up in a certain with the ship and everything like that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we know that things are going to be moving a little bit. Like that Big Mom is going to be moving a little bit more slowly so that they're going to have more time. Okay, more time. More time. Okay. We'll take the cake ashore at Liqueur and then go on a rampage. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Okay, okay. It's like this is stuff like it's not like right, it does move the plot forward, but it doesn't do it in a particularly strong way. It doesn't do it in a way that we weren't necessarily expecting. I don't necessarily want to read a story and easily predict what's coming next. For the last 20 chapters or something like that, we just been like, man, we know what's coming. We know what's coming. I mean, I'm not gonna say that because I think that some people might not, and like that's fine. Maybe they weren't necessarily reading it as intensely. I don't know. Some people like that, but I think the majority of people that are reading One Piece know this stuff. I assume that. I don't assume that people don't get this stuff. Okay? I assume that readers of One Piece are smart. I assume that readers of One Piece get this stuff. All right, so we move on to the next page. This is another page that's like almost a waste of time, right? Because the only really interesting bit of information that we get is that Prometheus is moving more slowly. But like, okay. Now we get back to Lola. No, not just yet. What's the matter, Chiffon? Liqueur Island is still too close. We've got to continue on till Fluffy Island. Oi, are you crazy, Chiffon? Assuming that Mama returns to her senses after eating the cake, if we give it to her on Liqueur, she'll have more than enough time to catch up with Nami and the others. So what? It doesn't matter. We've got to worry about our own skins now. Look, Mama's looking even more starved. We're going to Fluffy Island. Okay. Wait, were you even listening? Right? It's just like now this is going to drag on for a bit longer. It's going to take a bit longer for them to give Mama the cake, spring the end game of their plan into action. It's just like, Oda. It's over. It's done. Let it go. Let this cake thing go. Sorry, one of my cats. What's going on, Mina? Right? Just let it go. Just let it go. It's like let's get to this. All right. This is right. This is the stalling thing. This is like, yo, Mama's looking even more starved. Okay. She's getting skinnier. All right. Next. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. Luffy gets, boom. He just gets punched straight in the face. Looks pretty interesting. Right? 10:50 p.m. We know that time has passed. Right? We know that time has passed. Here's another one. Dodge to the left, Jinbei. Whoa. So they dodge. And we don't know what move that is yet. Right? We don't know what move that is. But it's like, who cares? What we know in these panels is that Katakuri is still fighting Luffy. He's hit Luffy again, like he's done for the past quite a few chapters. We understand that. Then we move on to the next panel. Here's another one. Dash to the left, Jinbei. Okay, so he's gonna move the ship to the left. and then he's gonna avoid an attack. All right. So, I mean, we know Jinbei's a good salesman, so he dodged an attack. Next. Then we realize that it's Smoothie, right? Smoothie, if you get any bigger, the ship will sink. Okay. That bloody Jinbei. Huh. Don't let your guard down. I'm counting on your instructions. It's okay. I'll take the lead here. I hope Luffy's won already, and I hope Sanji's already reached. I'm sorry for being asleep. Do Nekomamushi and Inu Arashi also turn into things like that, sister? If anything moves, Sanji will let us know. Is she a giantess? That person. Right? So there's a few things that's going on here. This, again, is what I'm talking about. Like, again, I'm not using the dog treat analogy because I do think it's a bit condescending. So I'm going to stop using that. I'm going to be like courteous. I'm not going to use it anymore. Because I think people are right. Like, I think people are right about that. No, I know people are right about that. So I'm not going to use it. Okay? But, right, when we were talking about, right, so what I switched to is, like, cheap incentives. This is what's going right in terms of, like, right, to read forward, to want to know, to sort of, like, goad us into, like, saying, hey, maybe we should know more about that. That's interesting. Interesting does not mean that the writing is particularly sharp or interesting or remove the plot forward in a very, very, very particular, particularly distinct and quality sort of way. And when I'm talking about quality, I'm talking about compared to past stuff in One Piece. Not talking about compared to other manga, because if I did that, it would be a whole different conversation. I'm talking about compared to past things in One Piece, past similar instances in One Piece, when a character is introduced, when an ability is introduced, things like that. I don't know what's going on here, right? People, you know, and then we get into a conversation about what are Smoothie's abilities. I'm not saying people can't have those conversations. What I'm saying is, so what in terms of the story, in terms of moving the plot forward, in terms of moving this arc forward? So what? Right? Then we move on, right? Then now Smooth is like, Jinbei, damn. Jinbei. You know, Jinbei's complaining. Okay. Then we get another cheap incentive. And I say cheap incentive because they're just cheap. Because, we you know, again, Oda, I think people assume that Oda is like, willfully not listening to people, as if people can like really, like as if people really do that, as if writers don't do that. Like writers all the time, sports figures, whatever, famous individuals, they be like, oh, we don't want to listen to the chatter. They're lying. You know they're listening to the chatter. So this whole thing where do Nekomamushi and Inu Arashi also turn into things like that, sister? I'm like, I mean, probably. Right? We've already assumed this. We already kind of had this conversation. So this thing here is like, again, another like speech bubble that's like a waste of time. It doesn't do anything for us. What is, like, it's not even about interest. It's like, how is that information moving anything forward? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's not particularly interesting, right? And then Brooke asks, is she a giantess? Because Oda assumes that we're going to ask that question. But we kind of, you know, generally know that she's not a giantess because Big Mom has an issue with giants. If anything, Smoothie's a long-legged tribe woman who has an ability to grow, right? And like we've had these conversations. So this is like, yeah, but again, right? What are those? What does that have to do with moving forward with this arc? Not much, right? The abilities, like, yes, things are interesting, but when it comes to the writing, when it comes to plot, when it comes to all those mechanics, stuff like that, it's weak, man. It's weak. And then Chopper asking that question, I'm like, what was the point of that? You know, what was the point of that, man? Look at everything that's going on. And Chopper's like, hey, do Nekomamushi and Arashi also turn into things like that? Why are you asking that question now, Chopper, of all times? You couldn't ask that earlier when Carrot actually transformed. Couldn't put that in that chapter because that would have made more sense. So stuff like that, man. Stuff like that is weird. It's just weird stuff. It doesn't make much sense to be placed here. It's stuff that's odd. It's odd, right? When compared to how Oda has placed information within chapters in the past, in past arcs, in past chapters. Okay. So we're moving on to the next page. And then we go back to the Luffy versus Katakuri fight. So we've gotten a lot of stuff that hasn't told us much in terms of like, you know, right? Not even told us much, but in terms of like moving things forward. Things are almost at a snail's pace right now. Right? We've got all these little cheap incentives that get us to keep reading, but stuff is not moving particularly fast. Not even fast, but things aren't particularly moving at a decent, what we could sort of call like a pace that's been very good in past One Piece arcs, One Piece chapters, stuff like that. Again, I'm comparing this One Piece chapter to the manga, like, and everything else that's in the manga prior to this chapter. I'm not talking about outside manga. People keep acting like I'm coming at One Piece. I'm not coming at One Piece's story. I'm not coming at One Piece, the best-selling manga of all time currently. I'm not talking about, oh, One Piece needs to go into, you know, needs to get thrown in the trash. People keep acting like I'm saying that, and I haven't said it. I've never said that. So I don't know why people keep bringing that up, right? Before I go back to this, no. Let's stay on this page because this is when it gets really good, right? This is when it gets like, come on, Oda, what are we getting here, right? Katakuri slams, right? Katakuri slams Luffy in the face with his boot, right? Katakuri laughs, right? Luffy's like, oh, thanks, Pudding. Right, now it's 11:08. We know it's 11:08. Time is moving so fast. And again, I'm going to talk about this time thing because people think this is like a great thing here. But I actually think this is like Oda kind of like trying to make up for lost time. No pun intended, right? Like he's real. That's what he's trying to do. It's like a ridiculous thing that's happening in this one chapter. He could have done this much, much earlier. He could have done this earlier. He could have done this before this chapter. Why did he have to do this in this one chapter? It's just it's ridiculous. So we see what's happening. Thanks, Pudding. You're always helping me out. Stop that. Get over to the edge. Farther, Sanji. Dear. They might think we're husband and wife. Okay. That's like, okay. It's like, maybe if you're interested in that Sanji Pudding thing, that's fine. I'm not. But again, another panel that doesn't do much in terms of progression, right? The panels that really do what they're supposed to do in terms of progression are the clock panels. But it's such a cheesy way and cheap way and just a ridiculous and almost ridiculous way of doing it here. Because if Oda was really legit about moving the things faster, he could have done this in previous chapters. He could have added some of this stuff in previous chapters. This stuff could have been spread out in previous chapters. We could have seen certain things. It could have moved faster. But what happened is Oda didn't move this stuff faster. He didn't make the fight move a bit more quickly. He didn't make the plot move a bit more quickly, right? The plot sort of like progression wasn't as fast as it could have been. So what did he do? He did this chapter. He had this chapter and he added a clock. I'm like, come on, man. A clock, bruh? A clock? And people are like, yo, the pacing is so great here. Yeah. The only reason, like, and the pacing is great, but everything that's in those panels in terms of the pacing is like, meh. We get more Pudding. Luffy's gonna show up in the middle of a fleet and an army, right? We know this already. I'll save my captain. I swear it. Okay. I mean, like, what do we expect you not to save your captain? Do we expect you not to try? Do we expect you to like fall over and like go to sleep and take a nap while you're on the carpet ride? No, we expect you to do this. We expect you to say these particular things. And that's cool. If you think that like it's hype that Sanji is saying this thing, that's fine. But when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the plot, when it comes to the story, when it comes to movement, when it comes to that stuff, whack. Okay? Then, again, Luffy gets back up. We already understand this, and it takes another beating. Okay. More waste of panels. 11:36 p.m. And I say waste of panels because it's like, why do we need to see any of these exchanges between Luffy and Katakuri? We already saw this. We saw this for a while. I mean, this like in terms of like a battle in manga form, it is terribly done. Right? When compared to past battles in One Piece and stuff like that, right? Like it's terribly done. I mean, this is unnecessary. It's like it's almost right. It's too much. Right? I was gonna say almost too much, but that would mean it's not too much. Like it's too much. Too many panels where Luffy's taking a beating. We get it. Luffy's taking a beating, and then people, and then people try to make excuses for this stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? You trying to make excuses for these panels? For this excess of pummeling? Come on, man. 11:36 p.m. Yeah, okay, we got it. We got it, Oda. You're trying to speed things up because you should have sped things up prior to this chapter, but you didn't, right? You did not. That's why you're doing it now. You're not fooling. Like, I don't know if Oda's trying to fool people or he's trying to be like, or maybe he actually realizes that and he's trying to make up for lost time. If that's the case, then okay. But let's get some better stuff going on here. This is the stuff that really gets to me here. This whole sort of page, right? So many of the siblings are gathered here on Cacao Island. Just how afraid of Straw Hat Luffy are they? Whatever. You lot. What's the status of the mirrors? We've broken them all. Okay, we already knew that this was going to happen. We already knew that they were going to generally break most of the mirrors, not all the mirrors. We got that, right? And then we get this panel with all these fighters and da 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 da. Charlotte's family, sons 36 through 40. Charlotte family, daughters 30 through 34. Charlotte family, 33rd son, Raisin. Charlotte family, 35th son, Ewan. Da-da-da, it's like a festival. Are you serious, Oven? It seems like there's going to be a lot of fun. Shut it already. Don't you have anything else to do? Just play along. The whole thing will be over after another hour and a half. I can't believe not having the telepathic sea slugs is this convenient. Is this inconvenient? Again, we don't get much here. We get a cool sort of kind of panel, but I feel like this panel could have been a panel that was like, that could have been by itself. I think it would have been cooler if it was like bigger, you know, if we saw more, because I think it's a great panel. Art-wise, it's a great panel. Again, I've never critiqued Oda's art. I really do appreciate Oda's art, but I think like it's such a waste. It's like, dude, all those panels of Katakuri punching Luffy up. I'm like, the endurance, like I get it. Luffy's has a lot of endurance. We already know. Moving on. Then the bottom of the page, we're finally here. How many tens of thousands of people are we up against? Just 10. 10 people or less. What? I'm sleeping. If something happens, wake me up. Right? Charlotte family, 32nd son, Brownie. The name of Big Mom is at stake. Charlotte family, 27th daughter, Chokunde. One of the worst generation, eh? Charlotte family, 25th son, former 4th Sweet Commander, Snack. Bounty, 600 million belly. This is what I'm talking about, right? We get introduced to Snack, and people are like, look, we got so many bits of information. So many important bits of information. The fact that Snack's bounty is 600 million belly is not an important bit of information by any stretch of the imagination. Why is that important? I actually want to hear a point being made about why Snack's bounty being 600 million belly is an important bit of information. Why does that matter? Especially because he's already lost to Urush. Why does it matter, y'all? Why does Snack matter? Right? And people are like, oh, Snack might fight somebody. Da, da, da. And again, please do not be, oh, but in the future, yo, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but trust Oda. Stop that, man. I'm talking about what we've been given right now. I'm asking people, why is the bounty of 600 why is Snack's bounty important information? Why are the names of these you know, sons and daughters of the Charlotte family important? I don't know. Right? I'm not sure. Beats me, man. Beats me. But, you know, if you can explain that, if you can explain why Snack is important, with all due respect, please, like, don't nonsense me. Don't give me nonsense. Don't give me, yo, in the future, Snack might be a formidable opponent. Snack might fight Sanji. Snack might... Might. Too many mights. Too many conversations trying to prove points that include what ifs. Nah. Move on, man. Move on to the next page. It's like that was the information that we're talking about. People like the pacing was so good. There were so many bits of information that we got that were super important. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see nothing that was like super important. Maybe the only thing, right? The only thing I could think of was like the fact that Prometheus is moving more slowly. So right. So that's kind of important in terms of like how the sort of plot is going to progress, right? That tells us a little bit of something, but nothing particularly important, I guess. So let's move on. 12:05. Approximately 1 hour left until the rendezvous on Cacao Island. So right, again, we know there's an hour left. We know that things are picking up. We know that things are going to end pretty soon. Right? Okay. So the mirror world is all beat up. That's fine. What's the matter, Straw Hat? Is this? Oh, right. The end? Russell, wheeze. Yes. Rise to the challenge. I'm going to end it. If after this you've already given your answer. This is it. Yeah. Gear Forth. Snake Man. What form will he take? I mean, this is like, this is the thing that it's one of the main things that gets to me. So before I get to talking about this ending, that, I mean, again, if you're hype about it, you're hype about it. If you're not hype about it, you're not hype about it. But the way in which it's placed, the chapter in which it's placed, and the part of the fight in which it's placed, it's just like, man, Oda, come on, man. You know what I mean? We've seen past fights. We've seen particular things, especially when it comes to like fighters like Katakuri. Like, this is just weak, man. It's just cheap. It's a cheap incentive. And it's almost at a gut level that that this is just like the writing is just not so good. Because if it was, right, this is not Gear Force level of like, whoa. This is not Gear second level of whoa. This is not Gear third level of whoa. This is not first uses of Conqueror's Haki or certain things like that. Like, whoa, this is just Snake Man. Snake Man. And again, whether I'm interested or not in what this form is, which I'm not really, I don't really care. Right, I'm talking about the way in which it's placed, the place in which it's placed, the sort of, the nature of which, like, Katakuri, I think, is clearly seeing the future and seeing what Snake Man is going to look like, and maybe it looks like he's supposed to be worried about it and blah blah blah. But I've seen that already. I've seen Katakuri do that with other moves already. It's like this like mini sort of trope that's happening within this fight is like, what? It's whatever. I've seen it. I'm done. I'm done with it. I've seen it already. I don't know. I mean, I think it's the end of the chapter. Let's just talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Let's. I'm gonna look at the chat. I want to see a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, Snack. Who cares about Snack? Snack could have just chilled on a corner, man. He could have chilled in a corner and sat down. I'm like, who cares? He ain't even a commander. What legitimate, like, important relevance does he have to the story? None. In terms of plot progression, none. You know, Boa Hancock, awesome character. Awesome character. When she was introduced, Rob, right? And we gotta get to talking about the woman in One Piece, y'all. We gotta get to talking about that. We gotta get to talking about that. And I think we should move to that, right? Right? We should move to that. We gotta talk about it. And that's another thing that's problematic, right? So that whole chapter was just cheap incentive, cheap incentive, cheap incentive. And then here's a clock to move things forward. I mean, like Oda. And it's not like I don't know that he's been using time to tell us like, hey, this is how much time has passed. But it's just like it's just weak. At this point, it's like the whole arc has been prolonged for so long that this sped up sort of like chapter and right the sped up pace for the arc doesn't have as much of an effect as it should. And that's because of the writing, yo. Because the writing has not been up to par. If it was, this chapter would be super, super dope. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, at least not in this particular way, right? At least not about the chapter or about the writing or anything like that. It's just like, come on, man. Right? A sword slash, right? We move forward 2 hours. That like right? That was the best part of the chapter, but it wasn't even particularly quality. People like the pace, man. The pace was so great. The pace was so good. I'm like, man, the only reason why some people think the pace is great is because the pace before this chapter was not good. It's like when you're waiting in a doctor's office, right? And you're like, yo, man, there's no TV. I can't watch nothing. Right? The doctor's office has the TV stuck on like Channel 4 News. It's replaying the same stories over and over. You're waiting for an hour. And then after like an hour, a secretary comes over and is like, hey, if you want to switch to TV, you can switch it you can switch to something else. And that's like a breath of fresh air, man. It's like, oh, thank you. Because you can sort of affect the sort of way in which you're registering the time, right? The waiting time, right? Because you can focus on something else. That's basically what's happening here, man. Oda's like, I'm gonna speed up the pace. But before this chapter, the pace was terrible. Terrible pace. Mainly because pace is generally related to how great the writing is, how quality the writing is, right? When compared to, especially with One Piece, right? In this instance, when compared to previous chapters, previous arcs, all that stuff. Previous plot construction, plot progression, dialogue, character movement, character progression, character movement. Come on, man. And we got to talk about the woman in One Piece. This is the stuff that really pisses me off. People never want to talk about this. Dudes will just never talk about it. And again, I've never said the series has never had this stuff. Again, people keep saying, they keep going back to other points in the series. I'm talking about what's happening here in Whole Cake Island, in the latter part of Whole Cake Island. When did I say that certain bits in One Piece, right, and like prior to, were particularly like, oh, this was utter trash, this was terrible, oh, there's a terrible writer, da 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 da. When did I ever say that, man? When did I ever say that to anybody? Like, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. People just keep ignoring the stuff that I'm saying. They keep ignoring it, and I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Now I can't show the cat. Mina is definitely camera shy, so she probably clawed me up or something. You know, like no, nah. You know what I mean? It's just like, right? Like just certain things, right? Like it's just I don't know. You know, good deaths have emotional impact. Yeah, definitely. Right, but right now, you know, gotta be better. Death gotta be better. Yo, the heart, what's up? Kenya, what's good? Ash, you know, I said what's good to everybody. But let's get to the woman because that's really important. Like when the new world stuff started, right? The return to Sabaody, like, and then we saw Nami and Robin. I was like, what's going on here? Like that was the weirdest thing. Like it didn't make any sense. I didn't understand why that was necessary. It was so ridiculous. Why make their breasts bigger? Why make that such an integral part of your writing, Oda? Why do that? Right? And this is the kind of thing, right? When we talk about misogyny, when we talk about the portrayal of women, and sometimes girls, right? They give girls. A girl might be 14 years old in a manga, you know, and they're clearly sexualized, right? And then people will come to me like, well, the author's not trying to sexualize them. It's on you. I'm like, well, of course it's on you not to be a creep, right? Not to be a misogynist, not to be male gazy. Of course it's on you too, right? As a guy. But it's also on the author not to sexualize characters that are 14 years old. Right? In terms of like the male gaze, in terms of viewership, in terms of the aesthetic. Accountability, man. I mean, it's not about, yeah, accountability, but also just like, yo, be better. Like, be better, yo. And that's not a hard thing to do. It's like, just stop drawing massive breasts. That's not hard. You know? And I think Horikoshi, I think he still does, like, there's still some sexualization of characters, right? And Horikoshi, I think, with Momo, it's almost like a joke, right? Because she has to sort of dress a certain way to use her ability or whatever. But I think that's like kind of nonsense because it's like, yo, she could just have her arm showing and some like leg showing or whatever, you know, and that would be fine. And it wouldn't have to be sexualized. You could do that with Momo and not have it be sexualized. But it's like, I haven't seen a reason for her breasts to be like all over the place, for her to be like, what, 15 or something like that? 14, 15. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the reason for that. Uraraka with the tight suit. Like, I think Horikoshi makes jokes about it, but it's still there. It's still like continuous sexualization of characters, right? It's like you can make jokes, but then when you just kind of continue to do that, it's like, nope. Right, but again, it's not right. It's not like it's not whether some. It's not about comparing sexualization. It's still sexualization. That's what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's like if you know, it's like this you know, it's like if I was like, oh, this 14-year-old girl sexualized over here, and it's really bad. This 14-year-old girl is sexualized over here, and it's not so bad. They're both still sexualized. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Uraraka is not adorable. I love Uraraka as a character, but I'm like, right. If I'm gonna call out Oda, I'm also gonna call out Horikoshi. I'm just gonna make sure I do that, right? I do think that like generally Horikoshi doesn't make that like the thing that sells his manga, right? So I'm not right. So right, I'm just saying that like, yo, I gotta make sure if I call out one guy over there, I gotta call out another guy over there, right? Like if I'm saying, yo, dude's over here doing some ridiculous misogynistic stuff, I gotta make sure that I hold myself accountable. I can't be calling out people if I'm not holding myself accountable and I'm doing stuff. You know what I mean? So, and people be like, it's Japan. It's just Japan. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's like when people are like, yo, the culture over there is to you know, cut off like the clitoris of a woman for religious reasons or whatever. I'm like, you know, in that country or whatever. I'm like, yo, that's ridiculous. Are you kidding me, man? You kidding me? No. Get out of here with that. You know, right? It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's Japan. It's just Japan. You know, it's like it's stuff like that that allowed the mangaka of Rurouni Kenshin to do what he was doing, right? Like to do the horrible stuff that he was doing, right? In terms of like collecting child pornography and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. Nah. You know, so again, right? Sometimes it's just like, right? It's like, I'm not saying don't read Boku no Hero Academia, or I'm saying Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia is a terrible series because of the way in which it sexualizes children. I'm just saying that's like, it's an issue and it could be addressed, right? But, right? But I'm not saying, yo, this series is garbage. I'm not saying that, right? I just missed the order where like, right, we got characters like, right, when Robin, you know, we got early Robin. She was super cool. Right, it was like, right, Robin clearly was like sexualized in a certain way, but it was almost like, right, like she had a fashion sense. It was like when you saw Robin wearing certain things, you were like, oh, I could immediately tell that, like, you know, a woman would be like, I'd like to wear that. That would be an interesting outfit. Now it's just like Robin is like wearing things, and it's like, really, like, yo, Robin, what you wearing? Robin, you were wearing like some like straight up cosplay like stuff. You know, which right in the ridiculous sense, right? In the way that it's like, hey, it's almost like when, like, if someone draws a character and they like almost for the sole purpose of knowing that that character is going to be cosplayed in that particular like getup or whatever. It's just like, come on, it's like, it's too much, you know? Like, we got characters like Belimer. Sudo is an awesome character. I love Sudo. Sudo, we haven't seen too much of Sudo, but I still love Sudo because Sudo is like, she represents something, right? That she has so much like clout and input in the Marines. And even though she's old, though she's clearly old, and she's a vice admiral, but she clearly is respected. So much so that she's like riding boats. She's riding on boats with Sengoku. She was chasing after Doflamingo. Like, she was, you know what I mean? Like, yo, come on. You know? Like, there's so many characters that are great. Great characters. Right? Queen Orohime. Great characters. Great characters. You know, of course, Nami was awesome. Nami was phenomenal. Nami was one of my favorite characters and time skip One Piece. Just great. And that's not to say that like she's not one of my favorite characters now, but it just saddens me the way that she's been like treated in a sense, right? Like, she's done some interesting stuff, but like in the way that she's been like it's more about how Nami looks, right? Every time she's wearing an outfit, it's about, hey, let's sexualize Nami. Let's make sure she's in the skimpiest outfit ever, as opposed to let's put Nami in something that she's clearly comfortable in. It's right. Like earlier One Piece, like for me, it was clear that like when the woman dressed up and when the women like put on clothes, it was a fashion thing. It was a thing like, this is comfortable. This is how I feel good. This is me. Now it's just like it feels like Oda's drawing these characters in these skimpy outfits. That's right. It's a difference. You know, there's a difference. You know, look at these characters. Boa Hancock, awesome character. You know, Vivi. Oh, Vivi was so cool. Vivi was one of the best women to come out of One Piece. Like, Vivi is one of the best. Well, Vivi is one of the best characters to come out of One Piece. Let me not say that, because I think that's not a great thing to do. But you know, but I mean, like, both, right? Because Vivi is a woman. Women are awesome. Vivi's a great woman. She's one of the best women to come out of One Piece, right? Because she's a woman, she's coming out of One Piece. But she's also one of the best characters to come out of One Piece, like, period. Right? I mean, I don't know how many people were expecting Vivi to be the princess of Arabasta. I don't know anybody that was like, yo, she's a princess. When she was initially introduced, right? And I think she was introduced as Miss Wednesday or something like that. I can't remember. Right? Miss Wednesday, I believe. You know, so it was like, yo, that was great. That was so great. I love that. Right? And like, yeah, and that interaction between Luffy and Vivi, that's the stuff that I'm talking about, right? When like when Rayleigh's like, oh, Luffy can kind of sense the emotions of people and blah blah blah. It's like, yes, Odo, we already know that. We don't need Rayleigh to explain that to us because we've seen stuff like Vivi and Luffy's interaction. Luffy gets Vivi. He doesn't have to say nothing. He's just like, yo, like Vivi didn't even have to say nothing. He's like, Vivi, what's going on? Like he understands how Vivi is feeling. He gets it. He can empathize. He can feel her emotions. We know this, and that's why when he's talking with Vivi, he's just like, "Yo, Vivi, what's going on? You gotta be stronger. You gotta have your convictions. Gotta be better. You know, like great stuff. Great stuff. Right, and she got shot by the people in Drum, and she was just like, I ain't gonna let nobody punk me. I ain't gonna let nobody punk me. Vivi was so cool in that moment, yo. So cool in that moment. And you know when she's at Reverie, it's gonna be, ooh, You ain't gonna talk about the Straw Hats with her in the vicinity. You know that's gonna be, that's gonna be a great speech. All right, so when we see Vivi, when we see that Vivi's going to the Reverie, it's like, yes, we're hyped. It's great. It's awesome. And that's why I was so sad to see Vivi leave the crew. I understood why it had to happen. I got it because Vivi's is awesome. Her father's getting old. She's probably gonna lead the kingdom. Right? She's gonna lead Alabasta, and rightfully so. And Alabasta, rightfully so. Because Vivi's awesome. She's capable. So I mean, right? I mean, man. And then Rebecca, man, as a character. And again, this is when, right, Oda drops the ball. Because Rebecca could be we have characters that could have been great, but they're not. Because Rebecca's there for fan service. I mean, Rebecca is really basically there for fan service. I can't remember anything about her personality that's interesting, that I care about. Right? It was like, oh, she's a fighter. She can use observation haki, but she can't use armament haki. It's like stuff like that. It's like certain choices that really bother me. It's like, I guess Kitos. I guess because Kitos didn't teach her, because she couldn't. Right? What? She couldn't find somebody to teach her armament haki. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. There's a lot of nonsense that's going on with Rebecca's with the construction of Rebecca's character. Lots of nonsense. Right? Shida Hoshi, I think, is a character that's like, it's weird because I think, again, it's a character that she doesn't need to be sexualized like that. But I think it's whatever. It's not whatever. I don't think it's whatever. I don't want to say it's whatever, but it's not. But I do think that I like to see where, like, how Shida Hoshi like moves from, like, you know, I'm in this room by myself, I gotta say protected, to, you know, I'm gonna be more involved. I'm actually like the weapon Poseidon. Like, I like that. That was cool. I like that they gave her like a purpose. That the fact that she can kind of use her ability that she talks to the Sea Kings. I want to see more Shida Hoshi. Definitely. You know, I want to see more Shida Hoshi, but Otohime, Queen Otohime, one of the best characters in One Piece, yo. Queen Otohime was like one of those characters where you just like, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you, Otohime. And when she dies, you're like, man, it breaks your heart. It really does. It broke my heart. When I saw Queen Otohime get shot, I was so mad, yo. I was as mad as her sons. I was like, yo, where's the person, yo? Where's that dude, man? Let's go. We gotta end that. We gotta end that. I don't want to swear, y'all, but we gotta end that. We gotta end that mofo, yo. And then as she's dying, she's like, please stop hating. Just do that. Please allow the next generation and the next generation to grow without that hate. All that, like, man. Right? And we have that juxtaposed with Fisher Tiger's death. This is what I'm talking about, man. When people are like, oh, these chapters over here, these chapters are still hype. These chapters are still amazing. These chapters are still wonderful. There's so much information here. I'm like, how are you telling me that? How are you telling me that the information is just as important as like certain things that happen in Fishman Island? Are you like, really? Snack's presence is like an important point. His bounty is an important point. The Charlotte family's names are important points. The fact that Prometheus moves more slowly when he's bigger is an important point. In the same vein as the stuff that we got in Fishman Island, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, did you see? Do we not see Fishman Island? Some people don't. Some people do not like Fishman Island, and if you don't like something, that's fine. But to tell me that like it's not a well constructed arc and that it's not a phenomenal arc, right? In terms of like the characters and the plot construction and everything like that and the connections, get out of here, man. Come on, the juxtaposition of Queen Otohime and Fisher Tiger's deaths, bruh. Right, and those juxtapositions only work well because Oda wrote those characters and wrote those characters' flashbacks so well. This is what I'm talking about, man. Again, somebody was like, "Yo, one panel could be great for just a flashback." I'm like, "Get out of here with that. Please miss me. Please miss me with that mess." Katakuri needs more. He can't just have a panel or two panels or two small panels where he's getting teased. That's not enough, man. That's not the same as a fully fleshed out, here's the past, here's what Queen Otohime was trying to do, here was her plan, the petition, the creation of the Noah, right? Or not the creation of the Noah, but just like, you know, like the use of the Noah as related to the plan. Right. And then Fisher Tiger's past of slavery, keeping that a secret, taking in Koala. And then when both of them die, it's like, it's just well done because it's like, on the one hand, right, with that arc, it's like, yes, we want to make sure that we move forward, but at the same time, look at all of the death, yo. Look at all of the violence. It's like you can't ignore that. Like you can't ignore that stuff, right? It's like revolution is violent. Revolution is oftentimes violent. It shouldn't be, but oftentimes it has to be. And then I want to get to another thing, right? I talked about this in another conversation, right? When they had the reverie, and again, King of Lightning was getting on Chibi because Chibi was like, Hody is a better character than and a better villain than Cracker. I was like, how how do you make the argument that Cracker is a better villain? How is that even a rational argument? It definitely ain't rational. That don't make no type of sense. Right? But I'm not sure whether King has like whether King of Lightning has like, said that, oh, okay, Chibi was right. But I'm like, yo, Chibi was right. Chibi was clearly right. I don't understand how you could make any other argument other than that. I was like, what are you talking about? Right? The reason why Hody Jones was so great, and people like, oh, Hody wasn't that great. But it's like, yo, the reason why Hody worked so well was because he represented people like me, people of color, people that are marginalized, the LGBTQIA community, people in that community, right? But particularly people of color, right? Black people, or any individuals that have dealt with indentured, right, with slavery, right, as a people, and the generations, right, that come after those initial generations that were enslaved, right? It's like Hody is a character that is so representative of people who deal with racism, who still deal with racism, right? But people are like, nah, you ain't dealing with it. Ain't that big of a deal, right? And so when who was it? When Shida Hoshi's brother is like, Hody doesn't even have much to be mad about. Hody just kind of holds a grudge. It's more than a grudge, yo. It's not like Hody like hasn't ever dealt with anything. It's that Hody understands that this stuff still exists. And people will go to Hody. People will probably go to Hody and be like, it ain't that bad, man. But look at the fishmen. They're stuck under the water. Come on. They are stuck under the water. They literally cannot go above ground because people look at them like they trash. What are we talking about? Do we not understand the severity of that? That's another thing. Sometimes people, legit, it goes over some people's heads. Like this happens, right? This is the thing that happens. I'm not saying the majority of the One Piece community or anything like that. I'm just saying that when I see people and they like, man, that stuff is like nothing. I'm like, yo, the fishmen, like, did we not see what happened to Hachi? Did we not see what happened to Kami? Did we not see what happened to Fisher Tiger? Did we not see that, were we not told of the continued history and the continued racism and the continued prejudices and the continued everything, man? You know what I mean? It's like, and people are like, nah, Fishman Island was all right. If you think it's all right, okay, right? But if you're talking about it's all right in terms of plot construction and time, right, and when compared to other arcs in One Piece, you better go somewhere else with that nonsense. Nope. Like I'm rooting for the Fishmen so bad, y'all. I'm rooting for the Fishmen so hard. Like I'm rooting for it so hard. Right? He doesn't really have a reason to sort of hate humans, but he definitely has a reason to distrust humans. Right? He definitely has a reason to be like, yo, but the hate and the history of that is so strong and so poignant that Hody almost had no choice, especially because they still keeping him underwater, yo. It's still difficult for the fishmen to go above ground and not be treated like crap. So of course Hody distrusts humans. Of course when the Straw Hats come, he's like, yo, who these people? Of course he doesn't trust them. Why would he? Right? Some people are like, yo, but it's the Straw Hats. They're so cool. And I'm like, yo, but why would Hody trust any humans? Given all the information, given everything that we know that happened to Fisher Tiger, given everything that we know that happened to all these other people, to Hachi, to Kami, to all of the mermaids, right? The fisherman trafficking, the human trafficking. How could Hori not distrust humans? So this is why when people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I don't know." Come on, but it's a Straw Hats. Like, come on, man. This it's the same thing that people of color deal with all the time, man. It's the same thing that marginalized groups deal with all the time. When people come to us and they're like, "Yo, just chill, man. Don't tell me to chill. Don't tell me how to feel. Don't tell me how to react. Nah, get out of here, man." Especially if you are a cis het white guy. Get out of here with that stuff. Don't ever tell me how to feel about racism, about how to feel. Come on, right? I could empathize with Hody. I got it. I understood. And when Shida Hoshi's brother's like, "Yo, there was nothing particularly traumatic that happened to Hody," right? It's such an impactful moment because you're like, "Yo, like, for some, nothing particular. Like for some people of color, their life might have been just fine in terms of like, you know, they were never enslaved. They didn't deal with like, some sort of like super traumatic moment. But again, definitely been microaggressions. They've definitely dealt with something, over and over and over, little bits of things, right?" And you understand it because you're like, he's talking, right? Because Shida Hoshi's brother is like, right? He like nothing in the same breath as sort of like Fisher Tigers and slavery happened to Hori, but the situation and the milieu of the One Piece world makes it so that it doesn't have to. Right? And again, you don't, right? It's like these actions don't come out of left field, right? Again, right? Ashwin, these actions do not come out of left field. They don't. We understand. We're reading this stuff. We get it. We know what's happening. So this is what I'm talking about. When people are like, "Oh, Whole Cake, look at Whole Cake Island. This arc has been incredible in terms of the writing, in terms of that." I'm like, "Oh, yo, when compared to other arcs, like, no. So you're gonna tell me that Oda has not taken a dive in terms of the writing? Like, I think it's very clear that Oda has gone down quite a few notches in terms of the writing. I think so. I think it's very much true. Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know why people tell me that, right? Exactly, right? Oda, right? Exactly, Gabby, right? It's like, right? And Yume, yes, Fishman Island, amazing background. It's one of my favorite arcs. It really is. It's a really, really good arc. It's one of those arcs that's like, it's so good. It's one of those like there aren't too many moments in One Piece that really make me cry, but like with joy and sadness, like simultaneously. But like that moment where we see the blood flowing from Jinbei to Luffy. Oh man, waterworks, yo. Waterworks. Because it's an arc that's so well constructed, right? That arc's not about the fights. For some people, all they remember are the fights. And it's like, if that's all you remember, then that's kind of sad. I want to have conversations about those points, right? I mean, man, and then Luffy asked him to join his crew. Even now, man, they're just like, woo. He's like, "Jinbei, join my crew." I was like, oh, my heart. So good, so good. right? The fights, I was like, okay, this is like interesting. Like it was interesting that like, okay, we saw where Luffy was in terms of Conqueror's Haki. We understood the capabilities of that, you know, and that, you know, we understood like here are some new abilities. But like really it was like, yo, I'm interested in this story. I'm interested in Hori as a character. I'm interested in Orohime, Fisher Tiger. I mean, that's another instance when Fisher Tiger is dying and he will not take human blood. Another moment where I'm just like, yo, again, waterworks, man. Waterworks. Right? Luffy versus Katakuri, I don't care about that at all. Do not care about that at all. At all. And it's like if you do, I'm not saying again, I've never said you have no right to care about Luffy versus Katakuri. I've never said that. I've never said if you do care about it, you're trash. I never said anything like that. I said the construction of this fight is not very good from a writing standpoint. It's wet, it's wonky. That'd be really interesting. I mean, and we've thought about it. I think a lot of people have like thought about like, you know, the fact that like that like that'd be really interesting and cool. Like not just interesting, but like it would be really really cool if Crocodile was like a trans character. That'd be really cool. I'd be interested in that. Yo, what's going on, Neptune and Third? Right. And like, yeah, Zoro versus Pika. That was like a little. I understood the point of it. I understood in terms of the construction, but I think it was also kind of a little like. I'm like, yo, Zoro, you couldn't find Pika more quickly. You couldn't do that more quickly. You know, so I. You know, and it'd be really interesting if Nami was a lesbian. That'd be really interesting. You know, I'd be fine with that, or bi, or you know, that'd be really cool. I would like that. I think it would make things but especially if she was a lesbian, they would be way more interesting because then you know, no more like not no more of these shifts, but like it'd be like, okay, we don't have to focus on that at all. We can just be like, yo, like not or not in the way, right? Not in the way that people are like, yo, will Sanji and Nami get together? I'm like, I don't care. I'm not interested in them getting together at all. I don't care. Sanji could die alone for all I care. I really don't care. Because Sanji's a misogynist. Sanji's one of those like nice guys that say they're nice guys. Right? That's what Sanji is. You know what I mean? Sanji's like, oh, you know, like yeah, he could say we're putting. Yo, hey, yo, facts, Gabby. Like he say we're putting. You know what I mean? His sister said so. Yo, he was like a little boy, man. But it's like, yo, come on, right? It's like if you're a nice guy, like again, this is something that's really important. If you're a nice person, you don't go around saying you're a nice person, right? Often or anything like that. Maybe you say, hey, I'm chill or whatever. But people that are genuinely like nice and cool and everything like that, like are genuinely nice people, do not go around saying they're nice people. They don't. I've met lots of nice. I've met quite a few nice people, and they don't go around saying they're nice people. But the people, especially guys, right? The guys you really got to look out for, of course, the guys that say they're nice. They're like, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. You got to look out for them dudes. Dumb dudes, dangerous. Because they're not nice. They're not nice. They're Sanjis. You know? Super thirsty. Super thirsty. Right? It's like the Okamas. I love the Okamas. The Okamas are so open and chill and funny and cool and awesome and free and all about who they are, and they love themselves. You know what I mean? In a way that I think a lot of other people don't. You know, and they definitely probably shouldn't have, like, you know, forced themselves onto him. That's a little much. But I mean, the Okamas are awesome. The Okamas, like, even Carve is one of my favorite characters. I have a top 10, even Carve's in my top 10 of One Piece characters. Again, Luffy's not in my top 10 of One Piece characters. Right? And people would be like, Luffy's not in your top 10. What's going on with that? Right? Luffy's in your top 10. He's just not. There are characters that I like more. I'm allowed to like characters who that are not Luffy. Oh, Bon Clay. Bon Clay's a phenomenal character. Oh man. I might have to put that as a tie. Even Ivankov / Bon Clay. And both of them have every right to be in that top 10. Like I have to have them share, because the other characters are just like really, really cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll bump out a character for Bon Clay. I might. Bon Clay is awesome. Yeah, the other background comments, they're just like, they're kind of like their background, but they're still like, you know, they're still fun loving, they're still cool, they're still like awesome. I like, they're so awesome. I love them. They're funny, like they're great. They're really, really cool. But again, one thing that I love about the Okamas is that, like, the Okamas are all about being in tune with who you are and accepting, like, that people are gonna, you know, get on you about that, and you just got to be like, bye. Bye. I love the Okamas. One of the best parts of, well, if not the best part of Impel Down. Bon Clay, Ivankov, the Okamas, best part of Impel Down, I think. I mean, Magellan is really cool. Maybe it's a tie, but I think that was my favorite part. You know? Yeah. Yeah, I would chill on Okama Island, no joke. I would chill on Okama Island. Real talk. Like, for the rest of my life, I'd invite people to come through. My fiance, you know, my future wife, my fiance would be there with me. Our cats. We'd just be chilling. That was another one. Bon Clay, I was like, yo, another moment where the tears, man, the tears, y'all, the tears. An ode to Bon Clay. That would be awesome. Definitely. I would love to see that. I would love to see Brooke pen that. Maybe not Brooke, maybe somebody else. I don't know. Hold on. One of my cats is being ridiculous. Mina, stop meowing. Mina meowing. Such a loud cat. You know, but what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, but like, it's like, yeah, right. It's like just certain things kind of shifted, you know. And again, some people are like, oh, there was another thing that really bothered me when people are like, oh, manliness. Oh, let's talk about that, because everyone that's here, like, is here, and we want to talk about it. I want to talk about that and why it's important to call out the nonsense in terms of like the manliness with Katakuri versus Luffy. We gotta talk about that, man. We gotta talk about all of that. That's just ridiculous. It's just such it's weak writing. This is what I'm talking about, right? People like, oh, just it's men fighting and men fighting, and that's just how it is. And I'm like, yo, he's written how many chapters, and that's what you're gonna base the shift in the battle in manliness. I mean, it's so corny. And yeah, Pudding was great, but then when he did like some weird things with Pudding that I didn't like. She was a great villain. I thought it was awesome. And then Pudding just kind of became a joke, you know, where it was like she's kind of wishy-washy. I'm this way, then I'm this way, then I'm that way. You know, now she's a tsundere. It's like, nah. The manliness is so trash, man. I'm gonna use trash for that because it is. It's trash. And people will be like, oh, that's not trash. I'm like, no, it deserves to be called trash. Anytime you have a fight where like manliness is like really dictates it, right? Usually it's trash. I'll say that, right? Because I think generally, right? Because most of the time it's like machismo or something like that, right? It's like a very distinct type of makeup in terms of the battles that in which like manliness sort of like is the foundation, right? When you look at something like Boku no Hero with Kirishima versus like Rappa, that was like so well done because it wasn't about being a man so much as it was about being a hero, right? It's different because heroes can be anybody, anyone with a quirk that's a living, you know, a living like sentient being, they could be a hero, right? So it wasn't about manliness for Kirishima so much as it was about I need to be the best hero that I can be. And I love that. And I love that move by Horikoshi, right? Because it's like, this ain't about manliness. It might look like manliness to some people because those people are all about manliness, mostly dudes, but it's not about manliness. It's about being a hero, right? And the best thing about My Hero Academia is that it uses hero to encompass everyone. Hero, right? There's no heroine or anything like that. But if people want to say heroine, whatever. But like, hero encompasses every individual. Women can be here. Women are heroes. Women have the capacity to be heroes, right? So when Kirishima is like, I need to be the best hero I can be, and Horikoshi bases his desire in the fact that he's trying to make sure that he can be as great of a person as Ashido is, right? A big part of his inspiration to be a hero is based in his admiration for a woman, very similar to All Might. Right, very similar to All Might, and that's what I love. Right, there's like a through line there. There's a through line there. I love that. That's very, very different from Horikoshi using women as inspirations for these guys to become heroes. Right, not to become men, but to become heroes. And that's very different from One Piece, Luffy versus Katakuri. I gotta be a man, so I gotta stab myself. No, like you do. Look, if you gotta stab yourself to maintain some sense of like even keelness or whatever, to be okay, to not feel guilty, something's wrong with that picture. You know what I mean? Like it's like this is what I'm talking about, right? And My Hero Academia is not the only instance where stuff like that has happened, right? Where boys or men aren't trying to be manly. They're just trying to be better people. They're trying to be better men, but yes, because they are men, so they're trying to be better. They're men that are trying to be better, right? As opposed to they're trying to be better men in a weird way, right? Like it's different, right? So people keep coming to me talking about, oh, it's so there's all the subtle stuff happening with Luffy versus Katakuri. What subtle stuff? I talked about this in my last video, but like, what subtle stuff? What in this battle has been subtle? I don't know where that is. I don't see that. Evil Pudding was so great. I loved Evil Pudding. She was awesome, and I wanted her to stay evil. It was really, really good. She was cool. She was funny. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I was really interested in seeing how she was going to use her ability to mess with the Straw Hat crew. That would have been like, it would have been really interesting. And I thought that's where it might have been going. But, you know, Ashido, I love Ashido. Ashido is one of those people that like I would legitimately like if I was in high school, she'd have been one of my best friends. You know, she would just wouldn't be one of my best friends. We wouldn't have dated, nothing like that. She would have just been one of my best friends. You know, and then like adult Ashido, again, would be one of my best friends. We'd be chill, we'd be cool. She'd be my fiance. They both be, you know, make friends. Like Ashido is literally too cool. Like she actually is, right? Yo, Yume, she is too cool. I adore Ashido. Ashido is probably my second favorite 1A character. First is Kirishima, then it's Ashido. And I love what she's gotten with this, not the latest chapter that came out on Manga Stream, but like prior to the one that came out last on Monday. For Viz. You know? It's just like, it's different. The fights are different. So when people talk to me about the subtleties of Luffy versus Katakuri, I'm like, there's nothing subtle there. That's not subtle. I mean, I don't know how you define subtle, but it ain't subtle. It ain't subtlety that's happening there. What I don't see any of that. All I see are a lot of fist flying. Luffy has a lot of endurance. Katakuri almost out of, you know, not out of nowhere, but like just there's a weak little flashback that forces him to sort of shift gears. That ain't subtle. It could have been a great fight. You know, could have been great, but then we, you know, and maybe we will. Again, the fight's not over, but I just think that like what we've gotten so far has been, it hasn't been subtle. The writing's been weak. The flashback, yo, that flashback was so Yume, that flashback was so weak. And people like, one panel can be an incredible flashback. That wasn't that panel. When compared to previous to past flashbacks in One Piece, when compared to past like those types of moments, I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what people are talking about. Yeah, it was the same one he gave Pudding. This is what we're talking about. I didn't even mention that. Right? It's just weak. It's just it's and I'm not gonna say Oda's lazy because Oda works extremely hard. Right? If you're a manga, you gotta work hard. You do, I think. You know, but the writing it's weak. It's not particularly quality, right? The fact that Pudding was made fun of, Katakuri was made fun of. I'm like, where's this going? right? Pudding fell in love with this guy, with Sanji, because he complimented her eye. That's all it took. What's going on there? I don't know, but it's just not good. Not good, man. Not good. You know, that's what I'm talking about, right? It's like, you know, Pudding fell in love with Sanji because he's the suavest, cool character in One Piece. I mean, I'm like, is One Piece so, you know, and Sanji's the main character, so like there's like some sort of weird like plot convenience stuff that happens with main characters. We understand that. But it's just like it's weird, man. It's weird. It's weak writing. And again, right, we see a similar thing with Katakuri. With Katakuri, right? We see a similar thing. Just meh, meh. That panel gets a 0 out of 10, yo. Right? Not in terms of whether I liked it or not. I'm talking about in terms of how it's placed, the construction, in terms of how it moves the plot, in terms of Katakuri, in terms of character development. It's just weak. It's weak. Yo, Neptune, yo, you stay trolling, man. I, you know, Lola is one of my favorite characters. I love Lola in Thriller Bark. Lola's great. Lola's one of those characters that like, you know, that's when Oda's like at his strongest, right? When he has these characters that are introduced and they're doing their thing, yo. Right? Lola clearly is not at the same level as like the Straw Hats in terms of like fighting prowess, but she goes in. She goes so hard, but she's not a slouch. You just ain't the Straw Hats in terms of battle prowess, right? In terms of strength, like physical strength. But she's still awesome. She goes hard. She's extremely helpful to the arc moving forward. All right, not only in the arc, but in the grand scheme of One Piece. Lola's a phenomenal character. I love Lola. Right? And I think I love Chiffon because Lola's awesome. You know, but Chiffon's also great too. You know, the fact that Pudding fell in love with Sanji, I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah, she could have fell for him later. They could have traveled, you know, all around Whole Cake Island. She could have got to know him, blah, 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 all that. But the eye compliment is what got her. That was it. That's ridiculous. It's weak, man. It's weak. And again, Luffy versus Katakuri. And people are gonna come to me and they'll be like, yo, man, why can't we enjoy the chapter? I never said you couldn't enjoy the chapter. I never said you couldn't enjoy the fight. I never said you couldn't enjoy anything. What I'm saying is, from a writing perspective, it's not very good. People just they just do not want to admit that the quality of the writing, right, when when compared to other chapters of One Piece, right, in relation to the tail end, not the tail end, but just like this part of Whole Cake Island, these like recent chapters have just not been very strong. They have not. They have not been very strong. And people will continue to come, but you know, in the future, again, I don't want to hear about the future. I want to talk about what we have, right? Like, and when I say the future, I'm talking about in terms of like, you know, I'm talking about what am I talking about? What am I talking about? I gotta think about it. I gotta make sure I say this thing correctly. I'm talking about like whether or not we can very clearly and substantially say that a particular moment in the story, in like right in terms of the plot, in terms of like dialogue, has significant relevance in terms of how the story is going to move forward, right? Can we understand that from the jump, right? I don't want to hear, oh, maybe Sanji will fight Snack and Snack will beat up Sanji and Sanji will end up in the hospital and they won't be able to leave Whole Cake Island because Sanji's in the hospital and da. Like, no. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to hear like interesting stuff. I want to hear that the writing in this arc has been not so great. Because it hasn't been. Oh yeah, there's gonna be so much love for this chapter on Monday. Oh boy, so much. But I mean, yo, chapter 893 week, and again, like, man, Dustin Reacts really tried. He really tried, man. Dustin really tried. He really tried to be like, yo, this stuff, yo. But I gotta end the stream soon because I gotta go to bed. I got stuff to do tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll keep doing these streams and talking, and you know, keep doing one. Maybe while I take a break from One Piece, reading One Piece in terms of the chapters, I'll keep talking about particular instances within One Piece. Maybe I'll make it a thing. Probably not a weekly thing because I gotta figure out time stuff because I gotta get back to my other streams. But maybe a monthly thing, but like every month. At the beginning of every month, I like, excuse me. At the beginning of every month, I like, you know, talk with all of y'all about certain things. Maybe I'll do that. Right? Sanji is ridiculous. Sanji's a ridiculous character. And I think the thing that bugs me about this arc is that we get more about Sanji, and then we think, oh, maybe he'll shift, maybe we'll see some more interesting things. But he's still Sanji. He's still a misogynist. He's still kind of annoying. You know, it's in a lot in those instances. You know, but the missteps are important though. The missteps are like, right? It's kind of like Sanji's sort of character like lends Sanji's character lends itself to a critique of like, you know, these sort of tropes, right? The guy who like is a nice guy to women and is chivalrous and all that, but is really like terrible, you know, stuff like that. Again, no one's erasing 900 chapters of greatness. I never said the other stuff is trash. I know the other stuff's not trash. I know One Piece is generally as greatness. Trust me. I only started really doing reviews for One Piece when I started this channel. I started this channel in like July, maybe June. You know, before that, I was like, yo, I was in the One Piece hype train. There were too many chapters for One Piece that I loved. You know? I'm talking about these particular chapters, man. These particular chapters lately, they haven't been very good. Right? I mean, I know there are a lot of characters. I love so many characters in One Piece. You know what I mean? But like the reason why I say this is because it's like people I feel like people don't want to, and like I guess that's your prerogative. If if you don't want to say, hey, this is bad, the worst chapter of One Piece, I don't know. I gotta think about that. I gotta look through. I gotta look through the arcs, and then I gotta remember like, what time I was like, yo, this chapter is like, it's terrible. I gotta. Oh, Whole Cake. Oh, that chapter with the Thunderbolt chapter where they send it down, and then Big Mom got out of the crater, and nothing really happened in that chapter. That was probably the worst chapter in One Piece. The only reason I won't say 893 is because if I said 893 was the worst chapter of One Piece, people would like send me death threats. I think. I think people would legit send me death threats. If I said 893 was the worst chapter of the Whole Cake Island. But I think that was like 876 or something like that. That was like the worst chapter of One Piece. That was such a boring chapter. Nothing happened in there. Nothing of real consequence. You know? What was 852? Let me look that up. I gotta look that up. I'm looking it up right now. I gotta find it. Because that's funny to me. 820. And there's so many chapters. Like scrolling down takes a minute. Like, yo, it's at 852, right? I believe it was 852. Let's check out that chapter. Just jog my memory. That was the Germa failure. The cover page was funny. Robin is like an artist. And marvelous healing ability. So these are the modified humans of the Germa. As long as she rests properly, she's easily be able to attend tomorrow's tea party. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I remember this. Right, he got out of the book. What about rebellion? Da, da, da. Yeah, this chapter. Yeah, the chapter wasn't that bad. I don't know if it was the worst. I mean, it's not a very good chapter. But it wasn't the worst. Let me see. Let me make sure it was 852, right? Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the worst, but I would say 867. That chapter was terrible. That was a terrible chapter. 893 was also a terrible chapter. That one was garbage. 892. Let me see 892. I gotta look at that too. I think that was kind of meh too. Yeah, I think I critiqued this chapter too. Yeah, I was just like, meh. Yeah, 892 was also a nah. 892 was also meh. You know what I mean? Like just meh. And then he got hit. I was like, Not very good. Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, no. I mean, like, I'm not saying like it wasn't like it's like if I had to rate that chapter you were talking about 852, I'd rank it at like it'd be like a 5 maybe. Maybe a 4, maybe a 4.5. It'd be like a 4.5. No, you know what? Yeah, 4.5. It wasn't good, but it wasn't like the worst. I won't say it was a 0 out of 10. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't really good. Um but I do think that like it wasn't a good chapter. I definitely think it wasn't a good chapter. It deserves nothing. Yo. Oh man. No, but yeah, the whole thing with like Sanji's past, and I think the reason why it might be a 0 is just because like it doesn't really do much for Sanji's character. Like it's like he's still goofy, Chef Sanji. It's like moving forward, I'm not sure what that's going to do for him. Like, is it going to change his personality? Is it going to do certain things? I don't know. I'm not sure. So I guess that's why I'm kind of like, the German stuff is like everything in terms of like the body and the modification stuff like that. That's interesting. But in terms of like, the Vin Smokes themselves outside of Reiju, boring. Right? The blah blah blah. Ichiji, Niji, and Niji and Yan, Yonji, trash. They boring. I don't care about them. Yeah. So okay. Let me. Nah, but yeah, I said a lot of. I've always said a lot of positives about One Piece. Right? People keep assuming that I don't say anything positive about One Piece. No. It's all right. The reason why Reiju is interesting is because she's the only one that seems like she has any type of personality. Right? I mean, like Reiju's not like the worst. I think they're all the other three are just boring because they have no personality. Like they legitimately don't. It's almost like they can't in some ways. Maybe they do, and it's just like trash, right? So that's why I think they're trash. But Reiju, I think was interesting because she gave me hope. She gave me hope for Sanji, right? But then I think what happened, and just because she's the best out of them doesn't mean that I don't think the whole Germa is trash. I think they're trash. But I think the reason why I think Reiju is the best out of all three, like if I had to choose like who was my favorite Vinsmoke, I mean it'd be Reiju, right? Like that would be my favorite Vinsmoke, and because like I think her ability was cool, her design was interesting, in some ways. I like pink. Pink is a great color, so I like pink. So I thought like I think that's probably why I like her design. I like the butterfly wings; those are cool. But like, she gave me hope for Sanji. And then, and then she got shot with these bullets, and then she got hurt, and she couldn't do anything in the pudding, which is ridiculous. That's when it was just like, right? Yeah. No, I do think like she definitely turned into a plot device, right? Like, cause she could have been great. She could have been something, so a character that shifted Sanji's sort of character in a positive way, but didn't do that. So, yeah. Right. Again, if I had to pick if I had to pick a favorite Vinsmoke, it would be Reiju. But yeah, again, yeah, I think you guys are right. Like, it doesn't mean that Reiju is like a great character, right? And yeah, they're all plot devices, and it's horrible. It's like, yo, Oda. Like, I can't help but laugh because it's like Oda. Like, it's almost like he can't help himself. I'm just not gonna read it for a while. I'm just gonna wait until this arc finishes, and then when it finishes, people will let me know, and then it'll be what it is. We'll go to the club. Yo, facts, Ash. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for a bit. And it's okay, right? Because we have other manga. We read other manga. And I'm definitely, Gabby, I'm definitely going to get to Haikyuu. I'll review that on Monday. I'm going to add that. That's going to be like my number. That's going to be like in my top 4, right? It's going to be My Hero, Academia, Hunter x Hunter, Promised Neverland, and Haikyuu. That'll be my new 4. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to try to get Haikyuu discussion stream started too. You know, because I don't have to talk. I'm gonna be talking. I'm not like, you know, that might also be monthly, but it might also be weekly. You know, we're just talking about the chapter and stuff. You know, and I don't know. I'm not saying like, right. I'm not saying that the arc will be utter garbage. Right. No, yeah, Kingdom, man. I gotta see about Kingdom. I want to do Kingdom today, but it's 10:35. I don't think I can, just because like I forgot that I have a baby shower that I have to go to tomorrow for one of my best friends, like in the entire world. So I cannot miss that. I can't miss that. So I have to get some sleep, and then I gotta go up. I gotta wake up early, and then I gotta do a few things before the baby shower. I'm gonna definitely do a Kingdom stream tomorrow after the baby shower. When we come back, Kingdom stream, yo. That's it. That's it. And then I'm gonna take Monday. I think I'll be able to take Monday off from work. Maybe not. I don't know. I gotta call some people. I gotta find out. I might be able to take Monday off from work to rest a bit. But I'll see. You know, I gotta give some few people a call. I might just take that one day on Monday off, and then definitely do the Kingdom stream and do a long one. Kingdom stream is gonna be tomorrow. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, I'll be pleasantly right, Gabby. I'll be pleasantly surprised if Whole Cake Island is awesome. If it ends amazingly, that would be great, right? Again, I'm not saying that like, oh, Oda's writing is terrible now, so he'll never be a better writer and he'll never improve and blah blah blah. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I want Oda to go back to the way he was, to the Goda. That's what I want to see. Yo, if the cake is destroyed, that'd be hilarious. I would laugh at that. I would laugh at that so much. That'd be so good. Everybody's like, but the cake, man, the cake. Imagine, yo, imagine the cake is a lie and it was like paper mache or something. Yo, I can't. Oh man. Yeah, the arc as a whole would be like as a whole, the arc would be like a 4 out of 10 for me. And the only reason to be a 4 out of 10 is because I like Big Mom. I think Big Mom's a cool character. I really like her. Charlotte Linden's one of my favorite characters. She's awesome. But yeah, the arc would get a 4 out of 10 if it doesn't end like wonderfully. 4 out of 10. But we'll see. You know, we will reserve judgment of the entire arc for the end. But so far the arc has been like a 4.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 4 now. I'll go for a 4. It hasn't been that good. And the latest chapters have just ugh. That would be so funny if the cake was destroyed though. Ooh. Imagine if it just fell into the ocean. Yo. That'd be so funny. I don't know what One Piece fans would do. I really don't. Not One Piece fans, but just like people that have been like, you know, praising this arc. I don't know what they would do. All right, I'm gonna end the stream here so I can get some sleep. But this stream was awesome. We streamed for like over 2 hours. No, yeah. I mean, right, the arc isn't over. So for right now, I think, you know, for me, 4 out of 10. It hasn't been very good. But if it goes up, yo, if it gets an 8 out of 10, that'd be awesome. Oh, that would be so great if Big Mom was like, this cake is trash. I don't like this cake. Oh man, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Then where do we go? That'd be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream. Thank all of you for coming through. Y'all were awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Again, like I'm gonna give a invitation. Anybody that wants to have just like a one-on-one conversation with me in like a hangouts, and talk about particular things, especially those of you that like comment on my channel. I don't mind. Like if you want to comment on my channel, that's fine. I also just want to say, like, I think maybe I was a little harsh, maybe a little harsh when it came to like dissecting this dude's comment. Maybe a little harsh. But I just felt I felt a ways about it. And I think I had a right to feel that way about it, but maybe it was a little harsh. I don't know. You know, if I was, I do apologize for that. But I said what I said. I'm gonna stick with that. Okay. I'm the Black Manga Critic. This stream is awesome. Shouts out to Ash. And all of his great content up on Twitter, One Piece podcast stuff. Great stuff. If you haven't followed Ash on Twitter, follow Ash on Twitter. Shouts out to Gabby. Shouts out to Neptune the Third. Shouts out to the Almighty King for coming through quickly, even though he came through for Kingdom. Shouts out to who else came through? I know a bunch of other people came through. You know, Big Dog. Shouts out to Big Dog for coming through. Shouts out to Professor Hitomi, first person to come through. Shouts out to Dustin. I know Dustin came through. Shouts out to Shuganma. I will get back on that Yona greatness. I will. Shouts out to yeah, shout out to everybody. I think I shouted out everybody. Shout out to Yume. I forgot Yume. I feel so terrible about myself. Shout out to Yume. Yume's been here since the beginning. Awesome. No, yeah, definitely. We're definitely gonna do more of these. Every month I'm gonna try to do like a One Piece conversation stream. I'm gonna we talk all the time like on Twitter. So I'm gonna talk with all of you and figure out what we want to talk about, you know? So we'll have like, streams and stuff. You know, and we'll figure out like topics. We'll figure out topics to talk about. Because I might have things that I want to talk about, but I definitely want to talk with all of hear what y'all have to say. All right. Thank you, all of you. All of you are awesome. And I think what I also love is that I can this stream is great because I can talk about things and it's not like about like misogyny and stuff like that, and I don't have like a cacophony of random dudes talk about, yo man, why you always supporting women, man? Why you always like ugh. All right, so I am the Black Manga Critic. Shout out to everybody that came out. This was a dope stream. And I'm out.